Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel, Become the Disruptor. My name is Magda. I'm a trauma-informed qualified therapist. And today we're going to be talking about something that we really need to talk about. So when you're going to actually stop thinking about healing and growth, and when you're going to start actually acting and acting actually differently, not still in the intellectualizing loop, repeating the same patterns again and again. Because let's face it, if you had been on a healing journey for years, if you had been on any growth journey for years, well, then if you could have done it by yourself, and if you could have done it in the way that you had been doing it, then you would by now. You wouldn't be watching this video. You wouldn't be still looking at psychological and therapeutic content because you would just be not interested in that. And I remember, guys, when I started properly healing, and this is what happened, with a lot of my clients, is that they simply just stopped being interested in psychological and therapeutic content or, like podcasts. It was just like, no, because they already knew. Because the thing is that when you know that you live the life that you truly want, or you're getting there, you're not interested in seeking more knowledge. You're just simply not, because your life is enough. More knowledge is not necessary for you to have a fulfilling life. And of course, a lot of you guys explore, belief systems, philosophy. Yeah, that is a different thing. You do you. But is that thinking about abstract ideas, about concepts, is that actually thinking about it, or is that a coping strategy to avoid the exposure to action and the exposure to feeling the emotions that you actually have somewhere circling, being recycled in the body, because you keep on avoiding feeling them in the body? So that is a question. Why do you need more knowledge? Is it actually because you would like to explore more, or are you still stuck in your mind and think that you can do it by yourself, that that you're just gonna wing it, and one more framework will do that for you? For a lot of you guys, no, you just reach a certain threshold and you have to absolutely accept that this is the threshold. Now, at this point, yes, you can seek therapy, you can seek a coach. If you wish to, you can book a session with me, or with a practitioner who works in a similar way. But therapy, that you will see your therapist on a weekly basis and basically recycle the stuff from your week when you don't really bring any new changes, then again, this type of therapy, which is focused on emotional processing and the processing of the past, is not going to work for you. It's just going to be the repetition of the same stuff, so you're just going to be wasting your money away. The therapy that you need at this point, and this is something that you can introduce and you can do that by yourself, but again, there's one thing that you cannot sometimes see is your own patterns. That external observation of someone who lived inside a loop, managed to step outside of that loop. Trust me, guys, when I see a fellow intellectual, I can recognize them in minutes. This is very obvious. Why? Because I lived through that. And any practitioner or clinician who sees a fellow intellectual, they can diagnose that straight away. And of course, there's no formal diagnosis, but I'm talking about the pattern, not a diagnosis. Yeah, a pattern when you intellectualize your experiences, your feelings, especially your feelings, and through that avoiding actual action and your emotions. So if you had been in this for years and you think that you can still do it alone, okay, I'll give you the recipe for that. And what I will say, though, that this is also the type of therapy that you should be seeking if you are seeking now therapy or coaching. So this is how I work with my clients, by the way. So I'm giving you the formula. And of course, that formula, this big formula doesn't change, but of course it will look different because everyone is different. So I can generalize that formula for you, so you can then individualize it for yourself, therefore do this work on your own, or you can book a session with me, because at some point, like I said, guys, that external observation is extremely valuable, and this is what you're paying for, literally, when you're going, because someone can actually see your behavior whilst being outside of it, and they can call you out. So the first thing that you need is an action plan. 100%. So there's you have to just look at your life, look at different areas of your life, but that action plan cannot be overwhelming to your nervous system. You have to use sequencing. Sequencing, as in, let me explain it to you. You have to first think about what sort of area of your life now would you prioritize most. So pick one area of your life, and then pick one behavior that you think you absolutely need to change. You're like, yeah, this needs to change. Start from there. So what you're going to notice when you're going to start doing that type of sequencing. So let's say you've got an action plan now, and let's say you want to focus on, let's say money, yeah? So your financial situation, and let's say maybe spending less money on, whatever that is. And then what you notice, you will start having feelings coming up. So when you start doing the action plan and start being consistent and start doing the sequencing, your nervous system will be like, you're doing something new? Okay, when are you gonna stop? When are we gonna come back to the old stuff? Come on, yes. So this is where your body, you're training your body, you're training your nervous system to be consistent with your behavior, because this has to become you. So you're not doing that, and this is really important, guys, for you to understand. You're not doing the healing to then perform the healing, and it's like, oh, I'm so healed. You're doing that, and you will become a new person with new habits, with new patterns. Yeah, your life will change. Yes. And this is what your nervous system knows, and this is what you know too. So the question is now, do you want to pay the cost of staying as you are and keep on intellectualizing for years? And then you can look at your parents and you can think of, this is my future. So look at your parents, look at their life. That is your future if you're not going to change those patterns. If you're not going to go with the sequencing, with the action plan, that's your future. This is, it could be a different iteration of that, but yeah. Your parents or whoever were your caregivers, because they, modeled the behavior in the world for you. So if you're not going to change that consciously, that's your future. So welcome to your future. You already know that. And I'm not a psychic. I just read patterns really well. And that's it. So your nervous system and your brain will try to convince you not to stick to the plan. You have to stick to the plan. It will take a couple of months for you to actually really get used to that this is how I operate, let's say on that financial level. And then when you notice that your nervous system and your brain accepted that new pattern that you are now, the new pattern of your new habit of dealing with money or whatever, then you can introduce another area of your life and then another. And then you will start seeing your life is changing. Yeah. So action plan and sequencing within that. And like I said, nothing grandiose. You have to look at the nervous system stability, not to overwhelm it. And this is really important. Now, the other thing, you have to take absolute responsibility and accountability for your own actions. So whether you stick to the sequencing and to the action plan, that's on you. It's not on your therapist, not on your coach, whoever. It's on you. You are the adult. You are the one who's responsible. So that's not for blame. That's for responsibility. This is a very different thing. So you look at the plan and the sequencing that you've done, and you look at, are there any physical changes in my life, let's say after a month of doing that? And after a month of you changing that particular habit, there has to be some little new changes already cropping up. If there's none, it means that you're not really executing the plan. That's it. That's the truth. That's you taking responsibility. So this is you taking responsibility, and this is, when the therapist can hold you accountable. So, with the sequencing and action plan, you do that with your therapist if you decide to do that with the therapist, or you can do it by yourself, like I said, but I would recommend external observation. And then responsibility, so it's gonna be you holding yourself responsible. In the case with the therapist, it's gonna be the therapist holding you accountable for the changes. And that's kind of how I work with my clients. That's why I've got good feedback from my clients, because they can see the actual change, the actual progress. And then the most important part not the most important, one of the last key ingredients is nervous system regulation. So like I said, when you're going to be starting executing those new actions, those new behaviors, your nervous system will start freaking out, because you are stepping outside of the old patterns. And it's not going to be like any self-sabotage. No, it just wants to come back to safety. Safety is what it's known and familiar. So you have to regulate your nervous system so it can stay longer in the new pattern until that pattern becomes your actual pattern. And this is me. Yeah. So nervous system regulation and increasing the nervous system capacity is crucial. And you do that, like I said, through action, but also feeling the emotions in the body as well, staying with them. So I trust that was helpful. This is the true formula for healing and for growth. And like I said, you can do it by yourself. You can do it with a therapist or a coach. It's your decision. You will always pay the price. And I'm not talking about a financial price, but you will pay the price in your life. Like I said, your parents' life, or whoever was looking after you, your family, that's it. That's your future. If you're not going to change anything properly, that's your future. Or different path is an actual healing journey and growth. And that is, like I said, either you hiring someone to help you with that, or doing this by yourself. But again, you always pay the price and consequences of your choices. So trust that was helpful. Book a session with me. You've got the links down below if you want to, if I am the practitioner that you feel like would be able to help you. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe, and I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye bye.